and there's a disconnect with just feeling that you will still be loved if you disclose your status. And there's a call coming in. We're going to go ahead and take that. I think they changed their mind. Oh, they didn't. Catherine Yancey, all everything show. This is Catherine. Who am I speaking with? Hi. Who is this?
Can I speak with Mia?
No, Mia doesn't live here. This is a radio station.
Mia said call her on this.
I'm sorry, ma'am. This is the wrong number. We're talking about HIV. Do you have anything you want to come in or contribute to our conversation about HIV?
HIV.
Okay, and that's
perfect
just,
example.
Yeah, that just proves to show the stigma that is associated with HIV. She immediately, nobody even said it in reference to her.
Right.
She immediately got defensive, angry, and hung up. So that was actually perfect timing for that call, whoever that was, thank you. Because that's pretty much the reflection of what people living with HIV
deal with,
are receiving on a regular basis.
Right.
And we don't even know her from Adam. And if we were to continuously receive that kind of negativity, that just shields the whole thing. Negativity, then that would definitely put us in a place mentally where it would be difficult to function normally. So with that being said, is there any mental correlation between depression, suicide, and HIV?
Absolutely. And I think that, as I was saying earlier, like, I'm a subject matter expert on HIV by default.
Okay.
Because I kind of have to know what's going on with me.
Of course.
And that goes back to your point about being responsible and accountable for knowing what's going on, with not just for you, but for the person that you're in a relationship with. So I was also stating that there's very few correlations between HIV positive and mental health, because they need to be connected in some way. Most of the time when people find out their status and they find out that they're HIV positive, depression immediately sets in.
Yes.
Because now they feel like, oh, my life is over.
Well, they feel like they have to face that every day of their life, the negativity that particular caller just expressed, and not even having a particular instance pertaining to her that we relate unto her. Like, we could have been her friend.
Right.
At least she could have asked the question.
Right.
Or she could have been like, oh, I'm sorry, that's not what I was intending to do. But no, immediately HIV, those words, those letters popped out, and it infused something with her that sparked anger and hatred. And it's just not about homosexual, it's not just about heterosexual, it's about just the bottom line, people not loving people at the core for who you are. Because you may not be able to see my little stuff, but I got my little stuff. And I still want to be loved despite of my little stuff.
Right.
And
I think for me, that's why David and Johnny exist.
And what is David and Johnny?
David and Johnny, well, we're David and Johnny.
Well, I know, but you spoke of something else.
Well, David and Johnny, of course, is our brand that we actively promote loving without limits and healthy relationships. And I think that if I had to put it in a nutshell, it's just a space for people to know that life can throw you anything. It doesn't have, our backdrop just happens to be HIV. So when it throws you that, now what? What are you going to do about it? How are you going to live about it? And that's one of the things that I always encourage him to do, what he does, and when he travels and speaks and talks to people, because I think that if we just stop at there's a pill that can help you, I think the story is not done the justice that it deserves.
Right.
I think that for them to be able to see a live example of, hey, you can have a life, you can be happy, you can go and travel, you can get married, you can have your own website, you can have your own app. They need to see you winning. And especially the younger people, I think that...
Well, I just think there are going to be so many more discordant relationships eventually that we need to just embrace the idea of just self-protection and preservation, first of all.
Absolutely.
And then, like, we have to be with someone, and someone now the population just may happen to be HIV positive. So I have I ask the question all the time, like I request/demand test. And that's, if you have a problem with that, then I have a problem with you. Because you should want to know about me more than I want to know about you anyhow.
Yeah.
So the fact that that does not exist prevalently, I have never had anyone to ask me first. And not that I'm out there like that, but I'm just saying, HIV's been around for a long time, and I started having sex a little while ago, and unfortunately I never got married, so those days are pretty dismal now. But somebody should be asking in that situation where you are in a physical relationship for HIV status and testing together at the time. Not want to see something from whenever ago, but yes, we're committed to the point. If we're going to be committed on that level, we're committed to this level where we can go and get educated on where we are at this point in our life.
Right.
But I always say,
yes,
and I have a new saying that
and that's Johnny.
This is Johnny. I have a new saying that I say, when you meet people now, they are not into you. They want to get into you.
That is very
and
true.
that's the issue. That's a big issue.
Well, I think, were you about to say something?
No. I agree.
Well, I agree also, and I think that is primarily the message. That is primarily the message that is being portrayed in most of our media outlets, and it is very disturbing for them to be portrayed on the level that we have to experience them, to the point where you can't even have a small child with you riding down the street, let alone listening to the radio, because of what billboards may be up, or what commercials may air, or what song may play that is just so explicit.
But you said something there too when you talked about billboards and you talked about messaging, and you talked earlier about depression and mental health with HIV. But I think that the message has to change. There's a billboard near a church off 520 here in Atlanta, and it says, I think it's one of Brady's actually, it says, I'm HIV positive and God still loves me.
I've seen that.
That's disturbing. Why does God still have to love you?
Okay, and just go ahead and speak from an HIV positive perspective, how that particular relaying in that message, I understand the point that they were trying to make, but by it being relayed with the still, as Johnny mentioned, how does that make you feel? Like there was a disconnect at some point where he didn't love you? And okay, but go ahead.
But I think that goes back to the mental capacity of the HIV person.
Okay.
Because they're already going through, well, I'm HIV positive, my family may not love me, I may lose some friends.
Right, it took you years.
It took me years to share the information. But if nobody else loves me, God does.
Right.
And that hasn't changed. And that's how I see that he still loves me. Like that his love for me has never changed. Just because I'm HIV positive, or just because I'm homosexual.
And what is your faith background?
I'm a Christian. Well, I will say this.
Okay.
I'm a believer.
Okay, a believer in
the Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay.
That's what I believe.
And how does your homosexuality play across in the church setting? Because we know that is definitely not a subject matter that gets any attention
in the church.
Right, although it exists.
Oh, definitely. And it's always existed.
Okay, well, go ahead and tell us what your experience might be in your.
Very careful.
Well, I'll just go ahead and be quiet now. I don't feel like I need
that's
to
really
say.
funny because I've been a musical director for almost 30 years.
Well, there's a stigma associated with musical directors in the church anyway, associated with HIV and being homosexual.
So I'm stigma down. Like I'm the billboard.
Yes.
Stigma, yes. So I really do have to be a strong individual. But I have seen it work in my favor, and I've also seen it be very damaging to where I literally left a state because of it.
Oh wow.
How what?
I said wow. To leave a state.
Oh yeah, I had to leave. And it wasn't that they didn't acknowledge me or they didn't accept me. I don't need for you to try to change who I am. I am okay with me. And
do you feel like you were always gay?
Oh yeah.
Do you feel like you were on the
Absolutely.
schedule?
Absolutely.
Okay. And we'll get back to the conversation. I'll let you finish this part. Okay.
So I left, and I left